Thank you for your patience. We're about 5 minutes behind, but we're all,
That's okay. Hey,
but you know how
we're
things
here
roll,
now.
right? And I'm gonna go ahead and put your information in right now so people can know how to follow you and what we're doing. How are you feeling today?
I am well. I am well. I'm feeling blessed and happy. I have a big old smile on my face.
Good. It's good to see you. So first things, let me go ahead and pin that comment. Let me get rid of this one, and then I'm gonna pin that comment, and that way people can see birth in the tradition. Oh, there I am. Sometimes my iPad likes to do what it wants to do. So, Mama Sarahn,
Hey there. Hey.
this is an honor to speak with you again. We had a little test yesterday, but again, please share with the virtual SoKo who you, for those that don't, because a lot of us know who you are, and I just let you know who you are. But could you please share with everyone who you are, what you do, and oh goodness, it's such a loaded question.
Well, I tell people that I wear three hats. First of all, I am the um, family mom. I have 5 children, my husband, and so that's a major hat.
Yeah.
The other hat that I wear is I'm one of the founding members of Giwayamata, which is a all sister dance, percussion, vocal ensemble,
Amazing,
and
amazing.
yeah, and then my third hat is my midwifery hat,
Yes,
birth and the tradition,
yes,
and that's the reason why I'm here today is
yes,
to talk about um, what's on our minds,
yes.
you
Now,
know.
grand midwives and clinical midwife is something that we wanted to talk about initially because we know what we want to get into. But could you talk a little bit about grand midwives and everything with that?
So grand midwives is a um, a term of endearment
Huh?
and honor
Mm-hmm.
for our ancestor midwives that came right before us. So the ones that passed the torch on to like my generation
Mm-hmm.
of midwives, and so we have had different eras of midwifery
Yes.
here on this in this country from the time that we arrived here,
Yes.
and we brought the skills of midwifery along with us. That evolved over hundreds of years through the midwives that were trained now by the health department. They were
Mm-hmm.
called granny midwives. That was the term that they gave them, was granny midwives. And those were the midwives that came through the Jim Crow era, the segregation era, the civil rights era. So midwives, as I pour libation to Margaret Smith
Yes.
and Oni Lee Logan
Yes.
and Gladys Milton Smith um, and all the other um, granny midwives, including Arilla Smiley, who was from here in Georgia, um, who is actually the one that was the connecting link of that era of midwives
Mm-hmm.
to my mentor and myself, and that was Arilla Smiley. Miss Arilla Smiley was actually the last of the health department trained and retired um, granny slash grand midwives. Once upon a time, back in the early 80s, a group of birth workers,
Mm-hmm.
childbirth providers of African descent,
Mm-hmm.
CPAD, we would have conferences. And so one year, our organization here in Atlanta, Dua Afe, decided that we were going to host a conference. And what we wanted to do was to bring forth the last of the living granny midwives from Alabama and from Florida and from Georgia, wherever from the southeast that they could come. And we did. We had a nice handful of them to come and sit with us, and actually we sat at their footsteps, you know, at their feet, and listened to their stories and realized that they did not like the term granny. They felt like the term granny was demeaning, and that it was felt disrespectful in many ways. And so we sat and thought about it that weekend, what it was that we could use to a name that we could replace, you know, in honor of them. And so we came up with Grand, and they liked it. And so from then on, that era of midwives now we refer to as grand midwives. And so now the ripple effect of it is that the midwives of my generation, people who came into midwifery in the 70s or 80s, now we're stepping into that grand midwife
And that's
status. So they give us that name.
They prepared it for you. And you know what? We have to have those intergenerational experiences together to communicate, for you all, for them to be able to say, we don't like that name. And say, let's do this. Those conversations are essential between generations.
Yes.
To know of not just, you know, what works and what doesn't, but just passing on, communicating with each other. It's so important. So now, coming into the now, on this day, in this experience with COVID-19, I know we've got, okay, I think, Darren, tell me how much time you want me to give for this, because we can go there. And there are a lot of women that are on here right now that may be expecting. And because of what's going on, the situation has turned upside down on its head. And a lot of women are asking, what do I do? Some people are not able to have their partner in appointments if they're doing hospital. Some people are not able to have a doula or midwife or partner in the birthing room with them. Where are we? Where are you in this? What do we do? How do we, to be pregnant, labor and delivery, postpartum in this time, in a pandemic? The manual's being written right now, and you're part of that. What do we do? There, you know.
Well, we don't panic.
There you go.
We don't panic. We take charge.
Yes.
And we have reached a point where we realize now that we have to take charge of our own selves. Kind of like what you said earlier, just taking charge. It begins and ends with us.
It does.
You know?
And real quick, Instagram is going to cut us off in 5 minutes. We only get an hour, so it actually is the time, but keep on going until we get cut off.
Okay. Yeah. And so what we have to do is we have to learn how to adjust. We have to not hang on to what used to be, because what used to be may not be applicable now.
Exactly.
Yeah, we are in a here and now moment. And so it's about adjustment.
Yes.
You know, it's about adjustment. We have two major elephants that are in the same room with us, especially here in Georgia. Not only do we have COVID-19 that is affecting African Americans at a disproportionate rate in comparison to anybody else, but we also have the highest maternal mortality rates disproportionately compared to any other race here in Georgia. So there are two major things that are on the minds of mothers, and making them reconsider their ideas and their thoughts of where they are delivering. Are they going to continue with their plans of having a hospital birth? Are they going to reconsider having a home birth? And how much, and if they are, then how much are they, or how much do they need to invest in that? And so whether you're having your baby in the hospital, or whether you're having your baby at home, or whether you're having your baby in the birthing center, we have 3 of them here in Georgia now, one downtown Atlanta, one in right outside of Macon, and one right outside of Savannah. It's been shown to us right in front of our faces that we have to advocate for ourselves. In order to advocate for ourselves, then we have to know ourselves. We have to know our bodies. Okay? We have to end the era of not knowing what our blood pressure is, what our normal blood pressure is, what our blood types are, what
exactly.
What our RH factors are. You know, if you come from a family where diabetes is a part of that family's culture and DNA, how do you determine? How do you take charge of your how do you take charge and take control of your sugar counts? And so we come from
5 seconds left. It's telling me before.
Okay. Well, 5,
I'm
4,
so sorry.
3,
So sorry. And
2, 1.
1 minute and 30 seconds now.
Okay.
Mother Conscious, we're going to start back over. So I know everyone, there are many other vendors that are going on, so we're going to keep on going.
Okay. Yeah. And so changes are being made. And so one of the changes that is obvious to all of us when we're seeking care from any care provider, whether it's a dentist, whether it's your primary care physician, whether it's your OBGYN, whether it's your midwife, that there's changes in those visits. Some of those visits have now turned into televisits. Televisits are an adaptable and adjustable means of staying connected with your midwife.
Yes.
Or your OBGYN. And so I'm going to give you an example of how I've had to adjust. And because we all know what time it is, and that we're all in this together, and we all have to adjust together. So one of the things that I do is that all of my prenatals are on one particular day.
Yes.
And that's when I do my clinicals. And those are short visits. Those are just the clinical visits where I'm assessing the growth and the development of the baby and listening to the baby's heartbeat.
And 10 seconds. I'm so sorry. Oh, please follow Mama Sarahn, Birth and the Tradition, y'all. A wealth of knowledge. You just understand. Come back into the room. Come back into the room.